So we just had lunch, and now we are going to head to the museum. We're gonna head to the Museum of the Mummies. It's the thing that I've been looking forward to most, which now out loud sounds strange, but when I was planning like what I wanted to see when we came to Guanajuato, so I'm really intrigued to see what it's all about. I don't really know the history of it, so I'm gonna learn as we go, and we'll all learn about it together. So we're gonna hop on the bus from the centro here and go check it out.
Pero es la entrada del cementerio y vamos a entrar.
The skull's on there.
Entonces, este es el cementerio de donde salieron las momias de Guanajuato, que están en el museo, está justo atrás, a la vuelta. Entonces, las momias las descubrieron porque en el año 1865 el gobierno puso un impuesto en el cementerio.
A corner. And why were there mummies? Well, in 1865, the government here placed a tax on having bodies here in the cemetery. So those who didn't pay the tax, if they didn't have like a brother or a sister or a friend or family member to pay the tax, they would remove the body from the cemetery and just put them somewhere else.
Los ponían en otro lugar hasta que alguien venía a rescatar el cuerpo. No sé, suena extraño, pero las personas después comenzaron a darse cuenta de que algo pasaba con los cuerpos. Estaban en perfectas condiciones, se veían como muy bien mantenidos, y empezaron a imaginar por qué. Muchos dicen que es el clima en Guanajuato, otros dicen que es simplemente la tierra que tiene minerales, no saben exactamente qué, pero descubrieron un cuerpo y otro y otro y otro, y durante ese tiempo se encontraron más de 100 cuerpos que estaban momificados.
So as they're removing bodies from the cemetery here, and placing them somewhere else, they kept the bodies there until somebody else would show up and claim them or pay the tax, where they could be put back in the ground or taken somewhere else to be buried. And they started to notice that all of these bodies were in really good condition. They were mummified. They had dried out before they fully decomposed. And so they continued to take bodies out until they had over 100 bodies that were mummified that hadn't had anyone claim the corpse or paid the tax, and they ended up moving them to the Mummy Museum. The cemetery workers decided, hey, we could probably charge for people to see this weird phenomenon.
Because people wanted to see it.
People wanted to see it. So they're like, hey, if you pay me X amount, I'll show you these mummies. And they're just like tucked away in some building. And it became an attraction, an ever increasingly popular attraction, until one day they decided that they could open up a museum and have it not be under the table anymore, have it be an actual attraction in Guanajuato.
that was quite an experience. I think I'm gonna cut a lot of that footage just because I think it's something you need to see in the flesh. I don't think it's gonna come across well in video, but I'm obviously you'll see a few of the snippets, or you have already seen a few of the snippets. Yeah, powerful. I was talking to Mai on the way back. We walked down from the museum back to the house, and we were just talking about the differences in like death in where I'm from in the US, and obviously she's Mexican, and what the experience is for her, and she thinks it's an interesting museum with, you know, mummies, and most of us that were in there in our group saw it as like a kind of reminder of death, and it's so interesting, I think, to experience this not just as a one-off museum when you're visiting Guanajuato, but as a better understanding of death in this country, and the culture, and the imagery and all of that sort of stuff while you're here. It's really fascinating.